This is the Hustle Brothers and the Haste Club collaboration. My name's Liam. I'm missing my co-partner Reese, and we're collaborating with our good friend Christopher Bell from the Haste Club. Christopher, do you know what? It's a mad time of the evening for you. What time is it over there?
It's 3:20 in the morning, man. It's 3:20 in the freaking morning. I need my pillow.
Yeah, no, that is commitment. It's 8:20 over here. Even do you know what? I normally get up around 7:30. I don't know what it was this morning. I think do you know when it's a Saturday, brother? It's a bit, I don't know, it's harder to get up, but do you know, I'm excited for this launch. I don't know how you're still awake at this sort of time. Did you get any sleep at all?
Yes, I did. I went to bed about 4 hours ago. I'm usually up around 5 normally for work, and I work. If it's not raining, I'm working, or unless I'm my kids are here, so it's not too terribly difficult, but it is a bit of an ungodly hour. And I am working today. I've got to leave at about 6:30, so I'll get no sleep after this. It's going to be a long day.
Do we know what the sort of launch window is like? Is there much scope in it?
I did not. Normally I would check. I did not check. Little faux pas on my side. I apologize. I did not check the actual window. I just saw the launch time that was expected, and I'm hoping. Look, if they scrap this thing tonight, I'm gonna be so mad for getting up.
Mate.
But normally the only thing that really stops the Rocket Lab launch is weather. And from what last I checked, they were looking good. So I think we'll be good to go.
Yeah. You're based quite close to Wallops, aren't you? Where are you from?
I'm in Virginia, and Wallops Island is on the eastern shore in Virginia. It's I'm directly across Wallops, where I'm at on the coast as far as the water. It's about if I took a boat, it would take me about an hour to get there. A drive is a bit longer; it's about 4 hours, but it's very close. Yeah.
Have you managed to get up there yet?
Yeah.
So, guys, if you haven't seen, we currently run a Haste Club with Christopher Bell. It was Christopher that first created it. We jump on some of his live streams. So if you haven't seen it, we've uploaded that video. I think going forward, Christopher, I'd like to more or less do a live stream more or less a week. And then we'll see what the guys think. If they want more, they can have more. And sure, look, you're always going live, updating the guys on everything Haste. Well, everything Rocket Lab in general, to be fair. I think you have a completely different approach to what I see, not only in Rocket Lab, but completely across the whole investing space. I like your laid back, chilled out approach. Guys, anyone that hasn't seen Christopher before go live, he normally has like a nature view. So he could be on a boat, he could be out by a lake, he could be by a pond. You create ponds, don't you?
Yes, I actually build ponds, so it makes it a little bit easy for me to have some cool spots and cool locations. I like it's different, you get on YouTube, you go on live streams and you see like my big dumb head, your face, and you see it with everybody.
Yeah.
So and everybody has their investment opinions, and that's great. That there's a need for that. I follow a lot of the guys, and I get a lot of great information from that. But in a community like Rocket Lab, we can't get enough. We just can't get enough of Rocket Lab. So I wanted to provide a platform for newer investors that, one, is just getting into into investing for the first time, maybe, and just getting into Rocket Lab. So I wanted to take more of a laid back approach, not throw a bunch of numbers at people, and just kind of get people excited about why I actually chose Rocket Lab as an investment, and educate people a bit more about the company.
Yeah. So really, like, guys, I want to more or less tell you what we're about on the Hustle Brothers, and this is why we are so happy to partner with Christopher. So myself and Reese both, we're not experts. I'll put it straight out there. We're not experts on the likes of Rocket Lab. We're leading that eVTOL space. We're not experts there. But what we'd like to do, we like to convey it to the layman. So we get our specialists, we get people that all they want to read is charts. They explain it to us and we're able to convey it to the layman. You might get an engineer. And you know what it is? I think getting all these different approaches and just putting it all together, sharing just our thoughts and opinions, I think it's a lot more engaging or something. And that's what I love about you, Christopher. It feels like when we listen to you, you have a life. It's not just stock market, stock market, stock market. And I think sometimes people get too bogged down in price movements throughout not only the day, but throughout the week. And you know what? Sometimes we have to sit back and live our life. We've had a nice run up, more or less, this past month. What did you think about the new contract that came out with NASA?
I go back and forth. As always, any new contracts are great. There's still a lot to be decided with NASA as far as how they're going to move forward during this new administration. So it's hard for me to really get too excited. I don't know if they're just throwing Rocket Lab a bone, or if they're really going all in and being serious about Rocket Lab. It's difficult to get too excited about any one contract that comes out of NASA. I'm hoping for more commitment.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. The more the merrier. The more we get, the better. And I didn't even really look into the details of it. With everything going on, them possibly canceling the Mars Simple Return mission. It's been one of those things that just kind of took a step back and decided, hey, look, I'm going to let them kind of figure things out for the next week or two, see what direction they're going to go, and then I'll allow myself to either get excited or start bitching about it. I'll decide from that perspective. But no, you're right, man. I do take a different approach. Like you said, I'll go out in my kayak and live stream on the water. I don't do the numbers. We have guys out there that do a great job of that kind of stuff, and sometimes we can get overwhelmed and get overloaded with information. So yeah, I do take more of a laid back approach. It's never investment advice, but if you are going to invest, you got to take that step back from time to time and realize don't stare too much at the markets every single day. It'll drive you crazy. So yeah, I take my guests out on the water, take them out for a little drive from time to time, and try and remind people what we're doing it for.
Yeah. So we had Jacob Keaton there, the Varda Spera launch contract. So yeah, this is the one we're speaking about. I did find a purchase order, and we're seeing the price tags around 19.7 million, which is amazing for an Electron mission when we're used to around 7.5. Look, I quite enjoyed that interview the guys had with Peter Beck, and I found it quite interesting when they asked him about NASA and where do they stand with where does he stand with the likes of the Mars Sample Return mission. I think Peter more or less came out and said it's a little bit shady and you can't really see it going forward. I think that, look, Rocket Lab's approach has never been just go for NASA. Peter came out and said himself that part of their portfolio taken up by NASA is that minuscule that we shouldn't worry too much about this budget cut. And I think that people are so worried about seeing these government cut downs in NASA. But if anything, isn't it a good thing for Rocket Lab? Because if NASA even can't produce it, they're going to go to commercial customers straight away. What are you saying?
No, that's a very good point. Also, Jacob, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you here. You should be asleep, but that's a very good point, especially with the tariffs and everything. And Rocket Lab being a U.S. company did not hurt them very much. And yeah, the fact that NASA is having some cutbacks, but yet we're still getting contracts from them is a very good sign. As you said, Peter said that NASA is not the largest part of their portfolio going forward, but it is important. It does bring a lot of eyes, especially when it comes to institutional investors. It just brings more attention. And just as a space geek, kind of a spacey, nerdy kind of guy, I like those NASA missions. So I'm going to be greedy. I'm always going to want more.
Yeah.
But I don't see any negatives. Yeah, I mean, the Mars sample return mission, some of the stuff they're going to cut back on, not a fan of. But, I don't, that's probably why I don't work there. I'm not the one making the big decisions. So, those guys know more about it than I do.
Yeah. So, guys, what I want you to do, if you have seen, I have a few more questions I want to ask, but there's no point asking them if they haven't seen it. Smash that like if you have seen the interview the guys had with Peter himself. But I think for now, Christopher, while we're waiting for the Rocket Lab, what we'll do, we'll jump into the comments. We'll have a quick discussion with the guys. So we have Jacob Keaton. Let's go. This is a rough time in US West Coast, but he's here. Jacob, where are you from? I know Christopher said it's around 3 a.m. around there. I'm sitting here in the Republic of Ireland, so I'm at a quite nice time. What are we sitting at? 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you stuck.
So I had quite a nice sleep. I know I was talking to Christopher last night around 11 o'clock, and I was like, yeah, mate, I'm going to bed now. So it would have probably been early to late afternoon for you over there. We have some guys following us now from New Zealand, and I think this is quite a nice launch window because I feel like a lot of content is put out on American time, and sometimes the guys in New Zealand and that can't see it when it first comes out. We're at a happy New Zealand time at this stage. Maybe they passed out or haven't woken up too.
No, there's a few of them still up. This is cocktail hour for a lot of those guys. They've already had their dinner. They're sitting around having a drink or two, winding down their evening.
Yeah,
Not too surprised Jacob's up. It is West Coast time for him. Oh, and mate, we've got to have Jacob on sometime.
For sure.
As I've said before, I'm not a numbers guy, but I do cheat from time to time, and I'll steal some of Jacob's info, as he already knows. Thanks, Jacob. But he's great at it. He's quick to correct me when I'm wrong, which is great. I need that because I'm one of those dreamers. You know me. I think a little bit too outside the box sometimes, and guys like Jacob, they really back in down to reality.
Yeah. What I would really love to do as well, we've been speaking to him, because we do that Haste Club, and we focus a lot on the defensive side. I'd really love to get Scott O on, just because he is a wizard when it comes to numbers and charts. And you know what? I think sometimes instead of us attempting to do it badly, well, I'm speaking for myself, not you. Instead of us attempting to do it badly, why not just bring on the expert just to explain it to us? I think sometimes we're better to use all our, I don't know, benefits to our advantage. There's no point.
The resources are there. The resources are there, and you know that. I joke about not being a numbers guy. Look, I do my numbers. I do my research. I mean, as an investor, if you're going to invest, you better take the time to do your own research and do the numbers. With a company like Rocket Lab, we're blessed because it has a big following now. Not so much at the beginning, but now there's quite a few people out there like a Jacob, like a Scotto, that just seem to really enjoy that aspect of it. And that's more of their strength. I'm a believer in you play your strengths. And, if you got a basketball team, you got a football team, you played your strengths, you don't play your weaknesses. So I do cheat from time to time, and I just allow them guys to kind of do the numbers for me. But they're great at it. They're great at it. Scotto, he had some great questions that centered on Haste during the interview. I really enjoyed. So yeah, anytime those guys want to come on, want to be a part of it, more than happy.
Yeah, I would love to get Jacob on as well, just because, look, we've never spoke to Jacob, only through X, and I love meeting new people, creating new relationships within the industry. And I think bringing a face to a name would be great for an awful lot of these people. And I feel like this Rocket Lab community is such a tight community. Us guys are used to the eVTOL community. That's where we first came from. And it was actually Christopher Bell, guys, that asked us to come across and try and put our 2 pence in when it comes to Rocket Lab. But I feel like the Rocket Lab community and the eVTOL community are completely different. With the eVTOL community, look, they talk to us like a duck to water just because it felt like they had no creator there. So it felt like it didn't matter whether we were good or bad. They were always just going to come to us. But the one thing I love about this Rocket Lab community is they've taken us in with open arms. Even our Haste Club, we had over 200 people view it that day. I know when you go live, my God, you can get how much live on X?
I've had some really good numbers. I've been surprised. Look, when I first did this, I thought it'd be me and maybe Johnny and Francisco would be watching, like 3 of us. That'd be it. So that made it easy too, by the way, because there was no nerves. I wasn't concerned about having a bunch of people watching me make an idiot of myself, especially on the kayak, because you make one wrong move, the phone goes in the water. And
oh, mate, imagine falling in live on stream.
Oh, I know. God. Believe me, I've thought about that several times. So there's always that nervous factor in there. Then you add in the viewer count that goes up. But at the same time, it shows you that there is a good, strong community. People are very supportive. We're not all going to be experts. I'm not an expert by far. My whole thesis, everything I've broken down about Haste from the very beginning, I believe it was going to be a lot more than just 1 or 2 launches a year. And luckily, with help within the community, I was able to complete a lot of research well over a year. And that's one thing I do tell people, especially new investors, when they get into anything when it comes to investing, do your own research. Take the time. On a day-to-day basis, stocks are going to go up and down. People get FOMO. They feel like they're going to miss out. They go throw a bunch of money into something that they have not done their own research on. So there's no conviction, no research, no conviction. You get stock movement, price movement. You end up selling at the wrong time because you get nervous because you don't know much about the stock. I made that mistake early on. No one taught me. I'm all self-taught when it comes to investing. I learned everything the hard way, and that was one of my biggest mistakes, was not doing the research. And that's a big reason why I started the Haste Club itself, is because I know what it was like coming in as a new investor, having no one in the community. I didn't know anybody, and coming in new, I was watching everybody on YouTube, guys like us out there, that tell you what to buy and when to buy and how to buy and all that kind of stuff. And I lost a lot. I mean, I really lost my butt. And just some of the basic knowledge would have done me, done a lot for me as far as my life in investing. I would have done a lot better. So yeah, my channel is not for the Matts and the Scotts. They'd watch me and they'd go, all right, this is fun, but where's the numbers? That's not what I do. Not what I do. It's more of just a very basic beginner's approach, if you will. But we have fun. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of fun, no doubt about that.
Christopher, we love you for it. I don't even think it's just for beginners. I love do you know what? Yeah. Sometimes I could be sitting here and I could be editing a video and I see you go live and I'm like, I can just have you on in the background. I can listen to you. It's just chilled out. You can hear the birds singing and away you go. It's a chilled out approach. And sometimes I feel like people just like to hear about their stock. It doesn't matter what we're saying. They just like to hear the word Rocket Lab. I know when we first started, and guys, you're going to absolutely cringe at this. But when me and Reese first started investing, I think we spoke about this on the Haste Club, Christopher. And guys, you're going to wonder why we're not talking about the Haste Club in this. I am dying to pick Christopher's brain when it comes to everything Haste. But I think we should leave that to the Haste Club. And I'm kind of being respectful that it's 3 o'clock in the morning over there. Well, what? 4 o'clock in the morning over there. We have a launch in 12 minutes, and I don't want to get too deep into this. So, but when we first started investing, we followed a certain Humpty Dumpty into Virgin Galactic. He was telling us when to buy, when to sell. Oh my God, we got every emotion known to man. We were highly leveraged and everything. Look, we got stung twice badly. One time, so I'd say within 3 months of initially beginning, personally, I wiped my account. Reese was very close to wiping his account in Virgin Galactic. Second time round, I was fairly close to wiping myself out. And I think Reese, again, was fairly close. And you know what? Anytime you eat humble pie, I think at the very start, and this is what's great for beginners, at the very start, it does make you consider, will I invest again? Is this the way? Is this not for me? And that's when we went on the long path of researching Rocket Lab and actually taking a different approach to, instead of YouTubers and people on X telling you when to buy, when to sell, well, why are they telling you to buy? Make your own decision. Look, on our channel and on your channel, you will never hear us say buy now, sell now. You may hear me say I'm buying now or I sold. Look, this shows I'm not an expert. I'm going to bring it back to eVTOLs just because that's where we've came from. So ever since October, I've been calling what's going happening with Arch. We called the run up last time and we also called the pullback before it happened. However, I didn't expect such a major run up now. And then I sold when we pumped originally I sold 20%. I sold at 11.50. Yesterday we're sitting at 13.50, and I had the guys saying, look, you guys are quite good at telling us the direction and the information about the investment, but your timing is poor. And I agree with that. And I think you can't time the market.
Most definitely. No, you can't time the market. It's I've been lucky. I have been lucky to buy low and sell high, but it was just pure luck. It's just been pure luck, to be honest with you. I remember I did the same thing with Virgin Galactic when I first got in. I think it was probably at the same time you guys started first getting in too. All the SPACs were coming out. Astra came out, very soon after, and me just being a space enthusiast.
Did you ever get into a Virgin Orbit?
No, after Virgin Galactic, after all that, I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna step away because that's when I got in early. I didn't do my research, and I just figured, hey, it's Branson. He's gonna make money at this. Yeah. And it sounds fun, but I didn't do the research. I didn't do the numbers, and that's large part why I lost out. But like you said before, you got a YouTube person that's on there, and they're doing very well. There was a guy that I think he's out of the Netherlands, I believe. He was on quite a bit, and he was making great money, and he was making a lot of really good calls. And I remember this is when I first started actually going, hey, look, I'm going to do my own research. And I got burned on Virgin Galactic, and he was pushing Astra. He was really big on Chris Kemp, and he was pushing Astra. And this is when I started doing a lot of research on Rocket Lab. And I was doing a comparison. I was being open-minded, and I saw a lot of red flags with Astra. And him and I started kind of butting heads. And look, I want everybody to succeed when it comes to their investing. I want everybody to succeed when it comes to space. But when you spend hours and hours and hours doing research and it turns out to be true, it makes you feel good about yourself. It really does. I didn't want Asher to fail, but at the same time, I knew what I knew. And I also knew what I didn't like about certain YouTube personalities, because this guy is just pushing his subscriptions. He's pushing, hey, buy this from me, look at me. But he wasn't using his own advice. He wasn't doing his own research. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot of what I did not want to do if I was ever to come on and do something like this. It's not easy. It's not easy. You put yourself out there, going live, especially like me. I really have a script. I don't edit. I just go right on. And you're going to make mistakes. We're human. We're going to make mistakes, and that's fine.
That's what I love about live streaming too. It's one of those, you know what? I'm going to be dead honest. When I make, like, say, a Rocket Lab video or a Arch video, you guys may see like a 15, 20-minute video, yeah? I'm telling you, that could take about 2 hours work. Because by the time you have it running nicely and having all the information all up in front of you and have it flowing nicely, it takes a long time. It does take a lot out of you. Where I like this sort of format where, look, this is like two mates at the pub talking about their favorite stock. Yes, we're not diving into the likes of numbers. That is for other people. However, on our channel, we do have videos where we do dive into the numbers, but these are specific videos and we don't go live for them, because I feel like when it comes to like analysis, we always have a philosophy. When it comes to analysis, why would we go live? Because you only see it there the once. Yes, you can go back, but it's a big long video and you have to hear about us chatting and all this. Where if you want numbers, we are very to the point, and the numbers is all you need. There you go. That's it. It might be a 10-minute video, but at least then you can refer back to it 5-6 times. But if me and you were sitting here talking about charts at what, 4 o'clock in the morning for you, I think would put most people to sleep. It might be a nice bedtime story for some people. Trust me, I get my mind going and I wouldn't be able to sleep, brother.
I need a pillow. Oh God, I need a pillow. But no, you make a great point. You make a great point there. I remember one of the live streams that I did, one of the first ones I did, I was covering something about Neutron. I can't remember the details, but it's something that if you're a long-term Rocket Lab investor, you already know about it. It wasn't news to anybody. But and I got that. I got people, messaging me going, "Hey, this is not news." I'm like, "It wasn't supposed to be news." But the response, the positive responses I got was from both, new and long-term investors, because sometimes, especially with a company like Rocket Lab, you look at how much information they put out just in the last 2 weeks. It's almost impossible to keep up with all the details. So it's easy to overlook some things that might seem obvious to some of us.
Yeah.
And going back and reviewing some of those things, I had, again, some new investors going, "Hey, wow, this is great information." But I also had some long-term investors going, "Whoa, I totally missed this," and we're not going to catch everything. That's the advantage of having so many people in the community, and being interjected with some of these live or these group chats in these live streams. Everybody's kind of doing their part, and everybody's helping out and feeding information. Just in the last 48 hours or so, there's no way I could keep up with all of what they've done with just all the news that's come out. And you try and put out videos to cover all that stuff, you'll be doing videos all day, every day. Maybe not a bad thing, but some of us have to sleep. Some of us have to work. But at the very least, Rocket Lab doesn't leave us without content. I mean, they're always giving us some information, lots to talk about. That's the fun part about it.
Yeah. GY Kiwi, I sleep about 5 hours max conditioned. Mate, you are some brave man. Do you know what? I'm a bit weird, yeah. I know a lot of hardworking people can run off like 5-6 hours sleep. Mate, I need 8 on the dot. Even if I get 7.5, mate, I can feel myself sluggish and everything. I can even notice it in some of my videos.
I'm not going to be happy. It's going to be it's going to be a long day. And the bad part about it is I'm my own boss. Like, I'm the boss. So the only person to bitch at about it is me. There's no one else to complain to.
As far as I'm aware, yeah, there we go. Guys, do you want it streamed on X or do you want it streamed on YouTube? Doesn't really matter.
I'm fine either way. It's getting ready to pop up. I need 1 second, if I can step away for 1 second.
Yeah, that's all good. So
I'm not going back to bed, I promise.
Yeah, if I don't see you, I'll give you a shout. Yeah, guys, the only reason I want to stream it on YouTube is just because I know we're co-streaming this onto X, and I feel like I'm going to freeze it up if not. So yeah, just background music now. Yeah, so guys, if they start talking and I haven't unmuted it, please let me know. But one thing I really have been thinking about the last day. So I myself am mad into football. And we follow certain fan channels for our football team. And it got me thinking about investing. And I'll tell you how it did. So we follow different channels. We follow the main guys, and I think they do amazing. And they remind me of certain podcasts I watch for my football team, Arsenal. But I was thinking, why don't we, even if it's not the Haste Club, maybe just a general Rocket Lab podcast where we bring people on, different people from around the world, not creators, normal Rocket Lab investors and just see how they feel about the stock every day. And we can sort of look at the sentiment around what's happening. Instead of having, look, this is not taking aim at anyone. I can jump across to the eVTOL space and say it the same day I could jump across to NVIDIA. But I feel like sometimes when creators get very big, you find you only talk to people that engage with that creator. So really, you're only speaking to people with one agenda. So say, look, in the eVTOL space, we have Archer Joby. If I'm in a Joby stream, I'm only going to be talking about people or eVTOL investors that are wild about how well Joby are going to do, and they're going to diss Archer. And same with Archer. I'll be talking to people that diss Joby. But why don't we get different people from around the world having different views? Look, we could have bulls, bears, and we can sort of discuss, pick it at it. It won't be a interrogation. We'll let them get their view across. Whether you want us to do it an interview sort of style, or is it just a phone in where they have a quick discussion with us? We could do it where, look, we stream it live. We could have 8, 9, 10 people on from around the world, and then we could put it into short little clips for people, a bit like a Joe Rogan podcast kind of thing, where we put the little clips out of certain people talking and what they're talking about. But I think it'll be a lot more interesting to get a lot more voices out about Rocket Lab. And I feel like that way, more people will hear about the stock. Because at the moment, you're either invested or you're not. Whereas if we can get different clips of different people out, and people know their voices are being heard, I think it'd be quite nice. But look, this is just a random idea. You're gonna think I'm spouting pure or not.
I like the idea. I really like the idea. Some of my favorite content creators that I follow are very active in the chats, and they get involved with what's going on in the chats, and those turn out to be a lot of fun.
I
There's
just think it'd be
times that
so funny. Like, imagine having someone call in here, yeah. So say, like, look, we could have the screen like that, and next thing someone calls in, like, do you know what? I'm just gonna call out the channel, guys. Look at Arsenal Fan TV, yeah. They talk to everyone. It's not just the certain few, the chosen few that they talk to. Like, I find in certain spaces, and I'm not referring to Rocket Lab here. This was in, I'm not going to say it because there's only one creator. We were reaching out, trying to get a collaboration with them. And because we're too small, people won't speak to us. However, this is where I want to be. Right, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have a channel or you don't have a channel. Just come on and speak to me. Because, do you know what? I just love talking to people. Here we go.
all right, here we go.
Do you want that turned up a bit?
They always do a really good live coverage. And sometimes during the live streams, they drop some information that we wasn't really expecting. So you don't always know what to expect. It's not just, hey, we have a launch, 3, 2, 1, it goes up, and it's done. They do these really well. I really like their live launches. And that kind of goes to more what you were just saying, though. You know, you were talking about soccer or football. I'm sorry, my daughter plays. So yeah, you have fans, right? People just want to talk about their favorite team. Well, that's a lot like Rocket Lab. People just want to talk about their favorite stock, and there should be more of an open forum, a platform for people to be able to do that. Look at that thing. I've got no sound on my end.
You've got no sound on your end.
I can't hear the live stream. Maybe they can in the chat. That's just on my end.
Not 2 seconds. I'll get it in. No.
A type of radar technique that measures the
Can you
amount
hear
of
that?
signal
There we go.
from the Earth's surface
No, tell me if there's
to
an echo.
create images. And while tonight's mission is our third for IQPS, it is the second this
Sounds
year
good to me.
in a series of 8
Sounds good.
launches that will be flying to help build out that constellation. So let's hear more about their mission from IQPS.
QPS SAR project. The future begins in Kyushu. Maximum ground resolution of 46 centimeters. World-class image data enables observation of moving objects like cars and ships. QPS SAR, a 100-kilogram class small SAR satellite. A constellation of 36 satellites will observe almost every location on Earth every 10 minutes on average. Unlike optical satellites, radar satellites can observe even through clouds and in darkness. The satellite processes observation data into images on board and transmits only the necessary images to the ground, delivering SAR images quickly. Using inter-satellite communication, even faster delivery is possible, aiming for about 10 minutes after observation. QPS SAR data unveils a new world previously unseen. SAR satellites, unaffected by weather or time, can quickly assess disaster situations and confirm passable roads. Additionally, utilizing the radar's unique features, it can detect changes in infrastructure, such as roads and buildings, down to a few millimeters, allowing for pre-screening and repair of potentially hazardous areas. It is expected to be useful for managing large-scale infrastructure, capturing detailed information with high resolution. It can even contribute to reducing and eliminating illegal logging. Multiple satellites enable high-frequency observations, visualizing the movements of vehicles, ships, and planes, and allowing for fixed-point observations. It can detect sea ice even during nighttime or adverse weather conditions, providing information essential for the safe operation of vessels. Additionally, analyzing economic, weather, and other data using AI allows us to forecast urban and national economies, along with future trends. SAR images can be used to quickly create and frequently update 3D maps. By tracking changes in terrain and buildings, it provides accurate information essential for autonomous driving and other uses. The ultimate goal of the 36 satellite constellation is near real-time data services. By integrating SAR images into various applications, they become more convenient tools and are used routinely in everyday life.
It's a mad
The
dramatic
QPS
voice.
SAR project aims to liberate the world from uncertainty and anxiety and sustain its daily life through satellites, expand the possibilities of space, and contribute to the development of the world. IQPS.
Very cool.
So far,
Very, very cool.
we have launched the Moon God Awakens, the Lightning God Reigns, and now the Sea God
I actually
Seas.
can't wait.
And these
It's
mission names all reference the gods of Japanese mythology that IQPS satellites are named after.
The QPS SAR-10 satellite on board tonight's mission is named Waratsumi-1, named after a great Japanese kami of the sea. Now, since this spacecraft will be tasked with observing maritime areas known for sea ice, deployment of Waratsumi-1 will enable IQPS to provide crucial information to its customers for safe maritime navigation.
All right, we are coming up on 12 minutes away from liftoff for IQPS, but before we get to launch, first our launch operators need to make their way through the go, no-go poll to proceed with the countdown to launch. So right now they're on console in two places, mission control in Auckland, New Zealand, and in range control at the launch site, which sits around 3 kilometers back from where Electron is prepared on the launch pad. So let's
go, let's go.
About the status of today's launch, led by Launch Director Michael Pearson.
Imagine being in there.
Bro, I'd love to be in there for something like this.
Call me Curtis. Thank you so much for that, brother.
Curtis is awake. Good morning or good evening. I think Curtis is in Colorado, I believe. He's about the middle of the country, more west.
Oh, here we go.
With the go no go sequence stage.
Stages go.
Avionics.
Avionics is go.
GNC.
GNC is go.
VCon.
VCon is go.
T1.
T1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
PLS.
PLS is go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
MET.
MET is go.
MM.
MM is go.
LD sub.
LD subs go.
Okay, all stations, the go no go sequence is complete. We are T minus 11 minutes, 11 seconds, and counting.
Haste Club, let's go, let's go, let's go.
We're
That's
going,
awesome.
boys.
Time, the 3-word procedure is in effect.
I get way too excited. I know they've done this 60 plus times now, but it never gets dull. I love this.
No-go poll.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, we're aiming
Bagger
for
Holden,
liftoff
this
right
is
at the
the
top of the
64th
window when
launch.
it opens in 10 minutes, 48 seconds. But if we need to delay for any reason, today's window extends for 60 minutes to try again. Otherwise, T0 is set for liftoff at 8:17 p.m. local time or 08:17 UTC.
Now, while we're about to send today's mission to space, it was only days ago that we brought another mission back from space with our Pioneer spacecraft.
I actually feel
So
sorry
earlier
for
this
all
week,
these guys
our
in the
latest
chat.
for
You're
VADA
all from the
completed some
US.
highly
It's so
complex
late for
maneuvers
you.
in space that returned their in-space manufacturing capsule back to Earth in South Australia, the third time that we've done this for the W series missions. So here's more from the team behind the mission.
Way too cool. I get so excited, man. I nerd out about this stuff.
The W2 program is a joint program between Rocket Lab and Varda Space Industries.
We get a drink. Be right back, guys.
To transport Varda's capsule
Guys,
that will manufacture drugs in zero
I
gravity.
want to ask you a question.
And the Rocket Lab bus will
Is it just
keep
me,
the
or ever
capsule in
since
zero
that
gravity in low Earth orbit around the Earth? And once the zero gravity manufacturing is complete, the capsule will then re-enter Earth's
problem
atmosphere
they had with
for
stage separation?
the Pioneer
You
bus
just
is
get
a
that
good
little
choice for the
nervousness
Varda
just
payload
before
because
launch, and then
the Pioneer
you feel
bus
stage
is easily
separation.
plug and play with
I
any
have
customer
full
payload.
backing of
It can be divided into 3 different
what
sections.
Rocket Lab are
There's
doing,
the
but
avionics deck,
I always
which
get
is
so
the
nervous
part of the
before that.
spacecraft that keeps
Okay.
everything alive, and it's how we do command and control. There's the propulsion deck, which is what we use to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. Ultimately, the top of the spacecraft is what we can plug in any payload of our choice, in this case, the VART capsule. The Pioneer bus uses the Curie prop system, which works in conjunction with our ADCS system in order to do precise burns to get the spacecraft into the orbit it needs to be in and for re-entry trajectories. The vertical integration of Rocket Lab systems allows for extremely quick turnaround times for all of our major components. I have immediate feedback and accurate timelines of when to expect my components to arrive to me, fully tested and ready to integrate onto the satellite. It also allows for much faster engineering of the satellite system as a whole. If I'm testing a reaction wheel, the responsible engineer who assembled and tested that wheel is a Teams message away. If I want some insight as to what kind of configurations my flight computer was tested in, I just need to walk to the desk of the engineer who built and tested it 30 feet from where I sit. What personally excites me about this mission is that, well, I've been working on satellites for about 10 years, and this program is the first one where it'll actually re-enter Earth's orbit without burning up in Earth's atmosphere, at least the payload. And there's something really heartwarming and exciting, and just, it feels like a tremendous feeling of accomplishment, seeing that payload parachuting on camera and landing safely onto Earth's ground.
Three for
Very
three.
cool.
Pioneer spacecraft. How good.
And our team is hard at
That's
work
exciting.
wrapping up integration and testing for our 4th and final Pioneer spacecraft in the Varda contract in Long Beach right now. So before you know it, we'll have another Earth re-entry mission operating in orbit with our spacecraft.
LD stage up.
That is so gnarly. That's gonna help them a lot on the Venus mission too. The data they're getting from those Varda missions are gonna help them a lot for their Venus mission.
Stage 1 and
Will
stage
that
2
be a
high
quicker
voltage
turnaround than
batteries
15
ready for
days
flight.
if they get it up? Or not?
I'm not exactly sure how that works. It's a lot to do with Varda itself and what they're trying to accomplish while they're up there.
Launches set to take place this year will be the inaugural liftoff of our medium-lift reusable rocket Neutron. And the momentum is really building as we race towards our date with the launch pad, with plenty of progress made in proving out our new rocket's design, operations, and readiness for launch. Now, our second stage
Yeah.
is fully qualified. The upper section is almost
Have
complete
you ever
too,
seen any
and
launch?
Neutron's launch
Not
site on
even a
Wallops
rocket lab
Island,
launch.
Virginia, is almost ready for its
Yeah.
ribbon cutting ceremony. So let's check out
I've seen several at Wallops. I've seen several at Wallops.
Here we go.
I was hoping for this.
That's beautiful.
We have water. We have water.
I'm excited about that one, Jacob. That's when they're looking in for search for life,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
I'm really excited about that one. I'm going to get off topic here. I think there's life outside of Earth, mate.
That is so cool. It actually works.
It sounds so cool. But the countdown is on, and we are so excited for Neutron's debut launch, on track for liftoff before the end of this year. But for now, back to today's mission.
Still on track.
So we're now in the final moments of the countdown to liftoff for Electron. From T-minus 2 minutes, you can expect to hear a number of calls from our launch operators. The first call is to confirm that Electron is on internal power, and that means the rocket is running off its own batteries instead of drawing from the umbilical. And that call out also means that Electron's flight computer has taken over the countdown and is running through the checklist autonomously. Now, the next call out will talk about AFTS, or our Autonomous Flight Termination System. The operator responsible for it will confirm that it's been enabled for flight, which is a critical element that supports launch safety.
After that, we can expect to hear confirmation that loading of Electron's
Jacob.
propellant is complete and that the system is in recirculation inside the vehicle. Now, because oxygen can self-pressurize when it's in a liquid form, there are relief valves on Electron that open to prevent overpressure. And because of that, you can sometimes see that pressure relief in the form of white puffs near the top of the rocket. At about the 1 minute mark to lift off, another call out you'll hear is that anti-geysering has been disabled, which also relates to the liquid oxygen propellant. And it's another indication the team is in the final phase of launch preparation before liftoff.
Now, soon after that will come the call out that Electron's tanks are pressed for flight. That means the system is fully pressurized and is now ready for launch. Then you'll hear that high flow engine purge is enabled. And that refers to the procedure of flushing gas through the propulsion system to make sure Electron's engines are ready for a clean start at ignition. And next, we'll get a reminder of where the countdown clock is at, usually around 20 seconds to launch, before the launch director speaks again to count us down to liftoff from T-minus 10 seconds.
So with the clock now at 3 minutes and 33 seconds and counting, all of that is coming up shortly. So let's listen into mission control for the final moments
So,
ahead of
like,
liftoff, and we'll be
Neutron
back
is
with you
set to
soon.
launch by the end of the year. Are you looking for a September, October timeframe? Or what are you hoping for, Chris?
Right now, it looks like end of September. I've been trying to host a launch party for Neutron, and I recently tried to book for end of September out on Wallops, and I can't get a call back. I can't get any confirmation.
Oh, here we
LD
go.
on mission. From now, there should be no red flags on your critical LCCs. VCon LD mission.
LD VCon.
Lock auto sequence and confirm.
Confirmed auto sequence is locked.
And confirm all flight computer ASGOs are green.
Confirmed ASGOs are green.
Okay, all stations, we are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LD is go for launch.
That's right. That's right.
We're going for it, boys.
I get way too excited about this. I
Right,
better.
guys.
I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I better be excited about it, right?
Guys, for any of you that haven't been here, if you want us to stream this every single time they launch, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We said it's quite nice because we're here in the Republic of Ireland and then Christopher's there in the US. We seem to be able to cover all time frames. Also, if you want to join in on our idea of making basically a fan podcast where Rocket Lab investors, just everyday
Level
people
codes
call
free
in,
on internal power. AFTS is green and enabled for flight.
where everyday people call in and just have their say on the
system is in
Rocket Lab.
recirculation.
Sorry, I keep getting interrupted though. Here we go.
This is too much fun, man.
I'm going Italy twice this year.
Anti-geysering is disabled.
Stage 1 and 2 tanks are pressed for flight.
There we go. Yeah, I plan on going to walks for Electron launch here or a Haste launch soon as well.
Oh, we
And
need to stream.
I'll do that live as well.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Let's fire this baby.
Minus 20 seconds and counting.
Here we go.
Curtis, Portugal is beautiful, trust me.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Looking good. I remember when I first watched these
Stage 1
launches,
propulsion nominal.
you see the ice falling away in the dark, and you're like, what is that?
Yeah, I always thought something was falling apart.
There you have it. Our 64th mission, the Sea God Seas,
Said I
has
don't know
left the
why.
launch pad and is on its way to orbit.
Ever
Now keep
since
listening in because soon we should hear the
we had that
GNC team give the call out that we've cleared Max Q.
I
As
can't
the
pronounce
rocket
that.
gets faster, the dynamic pressure builds, but as it climbs higher, the
With
atmosphere thins.
its separation.
So Max Q is the
I
period,
always get a bit
the peak
jittery just
aerodynamic
before.
pressure that Electron
Hey.
experiences as it continues onward to space.
Watching Max Q.
Well, it's hard not to get nervous, right?
Max Q cleared.
Cleared Max Q.
Nice, nice.
Come on, boys.
We've just got confirmation we have successfully cleared Max Q, and Electron is now traveling at over 2,000 kilometers an hour, past an altitude of 19 kilometers and climbing.
It's too good
And
at
coming
this.
up next is MECO, otherwise known as main engine cutoff, and this is where all 9 of the Rutherford engines that are nestled in Electron's first stage shut down before stage separation from the second stage.
Now, after that, the second stage will light up its Rutherford engine, and the mission will continue with the IQPS payload onward to orbit. And let's listen out for those calls.
They make it look so easy.
Yeah.
Stage 1 propulsion holding nominal. Stand by for MECO in roughly 30 seconds.
It's always that
15
second,
seconds to staging.
the second stage relay.
Entered burnout detect mode.
MECO confirmed.
Nice, nice.
Stage separation confirmed.
Yes.
Stage 2 ignition
Yeah.
confirmed.
Nice.
Electron has sailed through MECO with the mission now at over 90 kilometers above Earth and traveling at more than 7,000 kilometers an hour. And up next, we will have fairing jettison. So up until now, the protective nose cone that shields the payload from the harsh conditions of launch will soon be jettisoned in preparation for payload deployment. So keep your eyes sharp and see if you can spot those fairings falling away on the screen.
What is that?
They look call like solar panels, don't they? Aren't they?
Fairing jettison confirmed.
And there it is. Those fairings have now been jettisoned, and IQPS's SAR satellite has officially been exposed to space. Everything's looking great so far for the Sea God seas.
Nice.
HVP discharge holding nominal.
I'm glad I got up for this. It's worth it.
Yeah.
All is tracking nominally so far as we have now breezed through liftoff, max Q, MECO, and fairing jettison. And we can see that the single but mighty Rutherford engine is burning brightly as ever as it propels our second stage and the Wadatsumi 1 payload to orbit.
Yeah, Japanese satellite. It's for the SARS mission. Yeah.
Now you can see the glowing red nozzle of our stage 2 engine on screen right now. The Rutherford engine that we use on our second stage is almost exactly the same as our stage 1 engines, but they work in very different conditions. Our second stage engines are built for in-space propulsion, so we have to make sure that they can cool themselves down since it gets extremely hot without the help of convection when they're in the vacuum of space. They also feature an expanded nozzle, which is used to maximize the thrust of the rocket engine, converting more of the thermal energy into kinetic energy and improving the overall performance.
I always love how they break this stuff down for simple people like me that doesn't really understand exactly what's going on.
I wouldn't know where to start, you know. Do you know what I loved? When Vince asked Peter, and it was like, for the everyday guy like me, I just think you hook it all up and you press a button. And do you know what? In my head, I was like, yeah, that's how I probably would have thought it works. But yeah, some people do that. I was like, oh, shots fired.
Yeah, I'm very simple when it comes to a lot of this.
Now, next up, we have the battery hot swap to look forward to. And if you've tuned into our previous launches, you might be familiar with this unique event that happens with Electron. During the second stage burn, the batteries that power the Rutherford engine will soon be depleted, so we need to swap them for a new set.
That's right. Now, that switchover is called the hot swap because the engine remains ignited. And we'll know it's been successful when we hear the call out from Mission Control. And if we're able to see those batteries fall away from our view from Electron's onboard camera. So let's tune into Mission Control and listen out for that call.
Throttling down.
So yeah, guys, let me know in the chat if you'd like us to stream every launch going forward.
Battery
hey, there we go.
There we go.
It's always a big moment for the team there. Battery hot swap confirmed. Now, hopefully you're able to spot those batteries fall away. We're now traveling at 15,000 kilometers an hour at over 243 kilometers in altitude. There's still 2 minutes left in the flight for IQPS, but Electron and its payload remain healthy and all is continuing nominally.
That's what we want to hear. That's great.
Oh, the hind legs have a dog tags and made me laugh. So would I, to be fair. Fire.
You guys are great in the chat, by the way. Thanks for joining.
Do you know what?
We are now over 7 minutes into the mission and at an altitude of over 250 kilometers. And Mission Control is continuing to monitor the vehicle as it prepares to part ways with its second stage. So they're looking at a wide range of systems, from propulsion of our Stage 2 engine, function of our ground stations, ensuring our trajectory remains on track and that the payload remains healthy.
Another nice stream. I always get ideas during live streams. That's why I love them. Reese always says that our best ideas come from when we go live in the VTOL Weekly. Another thing could be, we could have so when you run the Haste Club, normally we talk everything about Haste and that. Then we could have the likes of our All-In podcast or whatever. What would also be interesting is like a Rocket Lab Q&A.
Now, SECO, or second engine cutoff, is fast approaching. And similar to main engine cutoff, SECO involves throttling down and eventually shutting off the single Rutherford engine on that second stage. This will be followed by the kick stage's separation from stage 2. And we will know SECO is imminent when we hear Mission Control announce enter burnout detect mode. Standing by now.
Yeah, like a Rocket Lab Q&A, and potentially we could get as many people as we can specialist-wise on it and see, can we bang ideas together and answer a lot of people's questions. Look.
SECO confirmed.
There'd be a lot of questions that can't be answered, but
stage separation confirmed.
Nominal transferability achieved.
And there it is. We've just heard Mission Control confirm SECO and kick stage separation. It's another perfect orbital insertion. And with the kick stage now successfully separated, IQPS's SAR satellite now enters a coast phase around Earth before the kick stage lights up with an engine burn to place it into a circular orbit for payload deployment. We're aiming for a 575-kilometer altitude for that deployment, set to take place in about 40 minutes' time.
We're not done yet, but for now, we'll take a quick break while we cruise over South America and the Atlantic Ocean. And Andrew and I will see you back here soon.
Yeah, not the worst idea. I mean, if you think about, especially for new investors that are new to Rocket Lab, and I mean, think about it. Look, a lot of us have been in the Rocket Lab since the SPAC, and we've been in for a long time. But there's a lot of new people that are just now coming in.
Say that again, Chris.
Oh, I was saying that it's not a bad idea to have like a weekly Q&A for new investors that are new to Rocket Lab or to Archer or whatever. And because there are a lot of people, especially here in the chat now, that know more about than I do. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to help out and offer some info and provide a platform for new investors to come on and not feel intimidated. I know as a new investor myself, I was scared to ask any questions. I didn't want to look like an idiot. Now I look like an idiot every day. It's normal. That's accepted, but not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
But that's what I like with our approach. Like, we will show you we do not know absolutely everything, but when you ask us a question, we'll either know someone with an answer, or we will find out an answer for you, and then we'll create a video on that. Like, that's where, if you ever look at all of our videos, they all come from questions in the likes of eVTOL Weekly. And just because one person knows it, never feel like you're an idiot for not knowing a certain thing. Even the basics. Like, look, today you could look at that and you'll say, what's the name of that rocket? But the more questions you ask, then you get to learn more and more about it. And look, I could then come to you one day and ask you a question. Like, I think if we all look at different aspects of the business and we build on each other's knowledge, look, I think we're all in for a good run. There's no point anyone sitting there and not know what. I think the biggest thing when you're investing in a company is knowing as much as you can about it. And the best way to do that is ask questions. And the best way to do that is hang out with just enthusiasts. And I think you retain information an awful lot more when you're actively engaging. So like when you're asking a question, I'm mad into the psychology, guys. Sorry about that. But when you ask a question, your brain actively engages. It wants to retain the information. Whereas if you're just passively watching something, you think it's going in, but it goes in one ear and out the other, just like my college days.
That's very true, though. Very, very good point. And don't think for a second that not one day goes by that I don't ask Francisco something. I probably drive him crazy. He should be awake right now. He's probably eating ice cream. No, he's asleep. It's 4:30. He's on the East Coast. But yeah, not a day goes by. There's times I'll hit up Jacob, Scott, and when I'm, again, not a big numbers person, but when I need to know the numbers, or I need to know specific things, so I'm doing my research, I don't hesitate. I'll reach out to those guys, and I want everyone to do the same with me. If I don't know the answer, odds are I know someone that probably does. And I don't make it. People investing in Rocket Lab, I don't make $1 off your investments when it comes to Rocket Lab. But I just enjoy the company. I really enjoy getting into the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. I mean, they just launched a rocket in freaking space. That's so cool. I mean, how do you not get excited about that? It's like I said before. If you're going to invest in something, you might as well invest in something that you're interested in. You're going to be entertained by. And I've said this same thing. Like, I love chocolate, but I'm not investing in Hershey's. Hershey's is boring. Hershey's might make me money, but I'm not going to take the time to do the investment. Invest my time in doing the research into Hershey because it's boring. It's just boring to me. So it doesn't do me any good to invest in companies that I'm not interested in, because at the end of the day, you do need to do your own due diligence, do your own research. But luckily, with a company like Rocket Lab, there is a lot of people in the community that do a lot of that stuff for you. Makes it easy. It's kind of cheap. Take advantage of it myself. So thanks to everyone out there that does help me out with these things. Really appreciate you guys.
I want to call out Francisco Ramirez, guys. I'm pretty sure most of you probably follow him here, but if you don't, he is like the silent addition to this Haste Club, where we can speak to him and ask him questions on the daily, and he's always there. He always answers us. So I want to give a big shout out to him.
Yeah, Francisco was there from day one. I remember early on, during the whole entire Haste program, he and I got talking, with some of his background and some of my background. We saw a lot more potential. And we just started really thinking a lot of what ifs. There was no evidence to point us in any one direction or the other. We just started having fun with it. And really thinking way outside the box and really thinking how far could they go with this program. And that got us really nerding out on a lot of information. And like I said before, we put in over a year of research into this, and he has done a ton of work. The guy he's a beast when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
I tease him all the time. I'm like, man, you're cheating. There's like you must have a twin, because it's like he almost never sleeps. He's always, he's almost always first to post stuff. I joke
so
with him,
responsive.
Like, oh man,
you can message him and he'll just message you back straight away.
I love the guy, man. I tease him. I'm like, man, I don't got to post anymore. I just got to just attach myself to your post. I'm good to go.
And that's one thing I want to talk to you, chat, as well. If there's ever any question or any video you want it created, just message one of us. Look, we're not one of these channels that just go and charge you money. Genuinely, it's free. Just reach out to us on X and say, guys, would you be able to look into a video on this? Normally, I can get a video out within 12 hours of you asking. Ask any of the VTOL guys. We normally get a video out within 12 hours. Just because, look, I'm going to be dead honest with you. I'm a working class man. Christopher, I think you've said yourself you're a working class man.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we have work. So I can't just drop it from what I'm doing and create a video there and then. However, I am changing jobs, so I'm changing job from Friday. It kind of frees me up a nice bit now to create videos at any sort of time of day, and it frees me up to create more videos. But it gives me a nice amount of time. 12 hours gives me a nice amount of time to like engage with the likes of Francisco, engage with Christopher. And then this is an exciting one, guys. We're in contact with Scott O. If you want to see Scott O do a collaboration with us, please jump into the chat and say so, because I would really love to work with Scott O. We said it earlier on. This guy is just a wizard when it comes to everything Rocket Lab, and he's very tuned in when it comes to the numbers. I said here at the Hustle Brothers, what we do, we bring all the experts together and we just convey it to the layman, to the everyday investor. Look, I'm not saying I'm a specialist in anything, but what I want to do is get the experts together. Let me be basically the village idiot. And
that's my job, dude. That's my job.
I'm the random investor, but at least that way we can dumb it down and convey it back to the layman. Because I'm not being funny. I know some of you are absolutely passionate when it comes to charts and stuff like that. And again, I've said we have videos when it comes to charts, numbers, figures. And I'll always put that in as short a format as I can so you can rewatch it. But the likes of on a live stream, there's no point me banging on about charts, because is it just me? Lord, this might be controversial to say, but watching an hour of charts is pretty boring. Like, especially at that time of night, I'd be asleep in no time. And do you know what? If I was going to work in the morning, the last thing I want to be doing when I'm stressed is listening to Fibonacci retracements and
very true. Very true.
Trend lines and that. So,
that's a good point. One of the first times I did, it might have been the very first or second, it might have been the very first live stream I did. One of the guys in the chats, he told me he was sitting in traffic on the way home, just kind of hating life, and he saw the live stream on X just pop up. And as some of you guys know, when I go live, you don't see me, you see whatever I'm looking at. So if I'm out on the dock or I'm next to my pond, you guys are looking at the koi fish, or you're looking out of the river. And he saw that. And, again, I don't get too deep into details. I don't go into the numbers. I try and keep it very light. And he really enjoyed that. And it really stuck out to me that, there's a lot more ways of going about doing these kind of things. And sometimes you just want to talk. You don't really want to be talked to. You just want to listen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a time and place for everything, but you're not gonna get. I day trade from time to time, so
yeah,
you better know how to read the charts. You better know how to do your numbers, and I do. I really do. Yeah. It's just not something that I want to sit there and, especially if I'm out on my kayak and I'm just relaxing. I don't want to sit there and boggle down my brain thinking about all that stuff. So I certainly don't want to bring that up to everybody else. Again, there's a time and place for all those things.
Exactly, and I feel like this is a lot more sort of a relaxing sort of setting. I said it earlier on. This is like a two mates sitting in the pub having a chat. This is more of a sitting down your sofa, watching TV, and sort of talking to your mate. And I feel like it sort of gives people a place to like air their opinions and air their thoughts on Rocket Lab. And these sort of live streams are really where you get your best ideas and where you sort of, I don't know, get different theses about the company. Because I feel like sometimes if you're watching too much of the same thing, you end up thinking one way. And that was what really drew me to you, was the complete out of the box thinking you have about the direction of the company. Look, I feel like we all have the same vision on how successful the company is going to be. No one doubts that. But it's interesting all the different approaches people believe Rocket Lab is going to take. And I just love speaking to all different people, seeing why they think that. And everything you say to me, my God, I can see exactly where it's coming from.
It's crazy sometimes, but I mean, it's supposed to be, space. There should be no ceiling to any of our thought processes. Rocket Lab's already proven that they can do just about anything, that's space related. And again, you got to have fun with it a little bit. I mean, yes, you're investing. Yes, you're taking it serious because it's your money, but you got to have a little bit of fun with it. At least, that's my perspective. I'm probably never going to be rich. I'm not, maybe, I don't know, but I'm going to have fun while I'm doing it. Especially on those days that, you're sitting there at 15 one day and then a few months later it's down to 4. And you're like, whoa, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. You got to be able to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And yeah, it is fun to come up with kind of out of the box theories of the different directions they can take different aspects of the company. And if I would have never had that kind of thought process, then I would have never came to the conclusion that Haste is going to be multinational. I remember when I said that on a live stream back in, I think, January, that we would soon see Haste in the UK. And I was almost like laughed at. They're like, you're crazy.
Oh, when we came into the space, you said that more or less straight away to us. And I could not believe it. I don't want to swear on the stream, but I will. Shit you not. I'd say within 2 weeks, Rocket Lab then announced this, and Christopher straight away, he texted me on X. He was like, "Do you see the news that just came out?" And I was like, "My God, how?" But like everything you say, like makes sense. You can just fill the dots together, and the way you explain it is so interesting, and it really gets you like proper thinking. Like, if anyone has seen the first episode of the Haste Club, we got very into the likes of what we think Neutron is going to be.
This might answer your question.
Why is that?
According to Wikipedia,
Alexa, stop. I have another. But Christopher, in the next Haste Club, do you think we should go in with a certain topic, or will we be very general again?
I think it's going to depend on the latest news. I mean, again, we got the guys on Saturdays. They kind of cover the weekly news, and they do a really good job of that. there's no point in repeating a lot of this stuff.
No.
Day
There's
in,
no
day out.
point repeating what's already put out.
And I have gotten a little bit of trouble because some of my conspiracy theories have, upset a few people for what reasons I could imagine. But I do like to dream. I do like to, imagine the best case scenario, the best possibility. There's enough bears out there to pull me back down to reality, but takes all the fun out of it, So that's just something, man. Next time, that's just kind of the attitude of Haste Club. It's more laid back.
Yeah.
We can just kind of go with the flow of whatever's happening for that day or that week. And I've got a few ideas. Again, I do want to keep it more centered on the newer investor. I wouldn't mind going back and recapping some things that most people in the chat already know about, especially when it comes to Neutron. But for newer investors, that again, there's a lot of news that's coming out just in the last few weeks. There's a lot of stuff. If you're a new investor to Rocket Lab and you were really serious about it, it could take you weeks, if not months, of research before you really got caught up to date. So, going back and taking a fresh approach and looking at Neutron from the very beginning, and showing people, as far as new investors, why we're so excited about it, how far they've come, things like that. I think would be really fun to do.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I want to quickly jump into the chat here. We have Bagger Holden. How much weight do the rockets put in space? And I'm not going to take the credit for this because Francisco answered you up to 300 kilos. And that's the sort of
I knew that, Francisco. I knew that one.
That's the sort of question. Look, that may not even be on the top of even some of the biggest bulls in Rocket Lab's heads. But at least we can keep getting reminded of this. And there we go. That's one happy person that got value out of this stream because another member of the community has answered their question. And that is why I just want to air that then. And then everyone knows. Scotto is the man for the numbers for sure. Yeah, we're talking Scotto at the moment. I'd really, really like to get him on with us for a collaboration. That man just has so much knowledge. I just really want to pick his brain. No, I really can't wait to see. 3-man screen here, multitasking, research for living, and work. GY Kiwi, thank you for still being here. Do you know what? There's still 71 people in the live stream. So thank you so much for being here, guys.
Man, Rocket Lab people are awesome, dude. We're it's like a cult. We can't get enough of these launches. I can imagine, we'll be 100 launches in for Electron, and it'll be 2 in the morning, and people will still want to watch the launch. Man, it's space, dude. It's fun. They just did something up in the. And it's not easy, right? I mean, Astro went sideways. There's a lot of new companies, coming out, and there's been a lot of new companies coming up and falling right back down. It's not easy, so it is exciting. It's I don't think I'll ever get to the point where it's like, oh, it's just another launch. I don't think I'll ever get to that point. I still get excited about SpaceX launches. That's just me.
Guys, by the way, if you want to ask me or Christopher a question and you're watching us on X, for some reason our X comments aren't coming up. So jump across into the YouTube link you're watching it on and you'll be able to find us directly there. But before you come across, make sure to follow Christopher Bell on X. Now, I'm pretty sure the majority of this audience are coming from you. Now, the only thing I'll claim back a holder.
Now, I need my glasses on or something. I'm old, but I can't see the comments very well. So if I missed something, what did you just say there? Can you read what Francisco just asked or what he just said?
Francisco said, Chris, we saw Haste going everywhere a while back.
Oh, yeah. And I got to give a lot of credit to Francisco. He doesn't like to take credit. But yeah, that guy, he was one of the first ones that, like me, saw Haste going multinational. And I think he was one of the first ones that picked up on the hypersonics contract that Rocket Lab was working with Australia on, and that just got us going. Sometimes it becomes like a snowball effect where you get one little idea, and then you talk to someone like a Jacob or a Francisco, and you go, "Hey, check this out," and they run with it. They really start running with that idea, and you might not end up on the same, have the exact same result, but I've learned so much more about the company just because of simple things like that. Because there's so much to know about the company, there's so much to learn. It's easy to miss things. It's easy to overlook things, like the gravitics contract a few months ago.
Yeah.
The whole aircraft carrier kind of thing in space, which I found funny. I found that very funny because I did a live stream on that, and I literally said the words, hey, picture an aircraft carrier in space. Maybe a week later, an article came out. It might have been Seeking Alpha. I can't remember who did the article.
Yeah.
But what was the headline of the article? Aircraft carrier in space, and it was about gravitics. And but it's a very small contract. Though. It's not this multi-million-dollar contract. Very easy for even the most seasoned investor to overlook. But that small contract is going to lead to much, much bigger things going forward. And it helps having all these other people that you can bounce ideas off of, so that you don't miss out on all those smaller contracts that, again, can become something a lot larger in the near future.
Well, that's the thing. Like, even looking at the likes of, say, the SDA contract, like, everyone is waiting for a big deal like that. But Rocket Lab just seemed to be able to keep getting these, say, 4 launches, 5 launches for Electron deals over the line. And look, guys, they add up too. But it's not just that specific contract. It's what it opens up. It opens up a door for a relationship going forward. So, like, if Rocket Lab successfully, you see with the likes of the SDA, if they successfully deliver that, going forward, Rocket Lab will be their go-to for them type of missions. And then, like, looking at Haste, I just think there's massive opportunity there. Not just because you get paid more for the likes of Haste launch, but
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Where's my mate again? Not just because you get more money for them. It's the fact that the doors that are being opened at the moment by these Haste missions, I think Christopher sort of opens your eyes to where he can see Rocket Lab going forward. What are your thoughts, mate?
Well, think about it like, okay, so we don't have to have a Rocket Lab pad and a Haste rocket in multiple countries. But what they can do is they can basically sell the program, the idea, the technology behind it. Just like Rocket Lab is working with Australia, they're also now working with the New Zealand government to establish basically, New Zealand's version of NASA. It's not one of those things where, when I first came up with this idea, it was people were like, well, they're not just going to just be building launch pads all over the world. No, it's not that at all. But the concept behind Haste, the hypersonic, and look at what hypersonics was. We didn't talk about hypersonics a year or two ago. Now you see it everywhere. All these countries are trying to get into it. It was a big topic during the guy's interview and with the interview with Madison. They just came out. It's we're starting to see that there's a desire and a need for that, and not just America, but multiple countries. And there's nothing wrong with Rocket Lab being an American-based company to sell that technology, to sell those kind of that kind of program to allied countries, because it's not it's not used for offense; it's for defense, which is key. That is key. And Beck did say he doesn't want to use his rockets for offensive purposes. But there are multiple countries that they see the potential and the possibility of what Haste can do for them, and that's why we're now starting to see, like, again, the UK, and we're going to see more countries. I think more of the South Pacific we'll see sooner, but we will see more countries adapting either the Haste program directly or one very similar to it. And right now, Rocket Lab is the leader in hypersonics. I know Kratos does; they have hypersonics, but at least for now, Rocket Lab is way up there. And the potential for that Haste program is massive. It really is. It's I mean, they have their own COO. They actually branched off in a sense, and it's still Rocket Lab, but it's a different division of Rocket Lab now, because it's growing so fast. And even Peter said that if they really wanted to, they could pretty much schedule a launch almost daily from the demand that they're seeing for their hypersonic vehicle. That's crazy.
And it was more or less. It was in that interview. He came out and he said their goal going forward is a daily, and like, I just don't think people comprehend how big of a deal this is. Like, why would Rocket Lab develop the likes of that hypersonic ability and product if they didn't see it as a dramatic part of the business? Like, why would they have the likes of Neutron, Electron, and then Haste? I just think it's staring us in the face. What did you also think about? Do you know during the earnings, we had the likes of, they put Neutron out on the press release, and they had, is it present or past, present, future, and they had Neutron there, and then they had 22 satellites going up to orbit, and that'll be future. Do you think this is an indication that they'll be going 50-50? Because it was the way the infographic went. Do you think they'll be going 50-50? So 50% the likes of your contract. That was another one. You called out the Air Force contract before that even happened with Neutron. But do you think they'll be going, like, say 50% Rocket Lab's own constellation and 25% and 25%, say, government and commercial? Or do you think it's going to go 50% and then the other 50% for now? Look, I don't want to get too complicated before we go into a Haste Club. Because what I'm trying to explain here sort of ties into the constellation. But the other 50%, do you think that'll be defensive deals going forward on Neutron?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, all right. So in my mind, for Rocket Lab to get the ability and permission to launch out of Wallops, there was a lot of contingencies that built up to that. And the U.S. government doesn't just give things away for free. They want something for something. And I think that's part of how the Haste program was originated, to be honest with you. So I do see them using Neutron for defense and many different aspects. when it comes to the flatellite, it's going to be a mix with the end goal of them obviously putting their own constellation up there. So if you know, whether it's Space Force or it's like a Samsung, at least now they have the ability to do that. And to be fair though, flatellite is not something that I've done a lot of, done a lot of due diligence on. I want to get more into it.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit outside of my realm when it comes to understanding how all that works, because a lot of people are into the ASTS, and I wasn't really big into ASTS in the beginning. I just didn't see the whole point of you got a few satellites, but you got no launch. What's the long-term potential for this? Well, I was ignorant. I'll admit I was ignorant to that. So I don't want to give, be too opinionated when it comes to flatellite, because I just don't really know enough to give a really good educated opinion on that. But as far as when it goes to defense, yes, we will be seeing Rocket Lab get contracts for defense with their flatellite. I have no doubt in that.
Yeah, like what I found very interesting, I think it was Dave G asked, would there be a reduction in customers for the Lightning satellite now that flatellite is available? And Peter Beck said no. He said they're completely two different things, like two different use cases. And he said flatellite was a direct response to inquiries they've had by multiple customers for multiple constellations. And that really tuned my ears in, because I was like, so you're talking to multiple customers for multiple large constellations, and it's like you really have unlocked the keys to space and this vertical integration strategy, because you have the ability to launch. You now have the likes of your flatellite, and these are gonna then come in conjunction to that Mynaric acquisition they want to make. And it just feels like everything they do, yes, it seems to be in response to something. So yes, the flatellite seems to be in response to certain inquiries, but it's not like they just jump on it. Oh, someone's asked me to create a certain satellite, so we're going to start creating them. It feels like they actually do their due diligence and don't waste money creating certain products unless they can see an actual path forward with it. So the likes of Haste, I don't only think that they were asked, oh yeah, will you make this hypersonic ability with the Electron? But they've looked at it and think, okay, so where's the money going to be made if we do develop this program? And I think that's where we have to look at it.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Look at the again. Look at the Gravitics contract. What is that? What are they doing? Well, basically, it's a very large, and it's not Rocket Labs. It's a different company, but it's an oversized Pioneer capsule, basically, that houses multiple satellites that can be deployed for different defensive purposes in space. Well, what would fit inside of the Gravitics capsule? Those flatellite satellites would most likely fit in there just nice and perfectly neatly inside of there. Not saying that that's what it's for, but it gives you an idea, like you were saying, that Rocket Lab, they are thinking, we always say this all the time, Beck's playing, he's playing chess, not checkers. He is always 10 steps ahead. So I think it was a bit of a happy surprise to most of us investors when they released the flatellite news, but not in a surprise in a way of like, well, we never saw it coming. It was just kind of an added bonus.
But that's the thing, the writing's always on the wall. The clues are normally there when you actually look back. But it's just sometimes we just don't see it coming. Not sometimes, most of the time, we just don't see it coming.
No, we don't. We don't.
I want to jump back to the chat here. So, GY Kiwi, Rocket Lab is partner friendly. They're involved in so much, and that's the thing. Like, if you could write it down how much they're involved in at the moment, the list would be endless. Francisco, yes, they are. So Peter Beck said whenever they don't get the contracts, they still get to sell components to the companies that do, and that is just like, you can see how they can start getting involved in absolutely everything. Like
30% of what was launched into space last year has Rocket Lab some kind of component on it.
Doesn't even the Hubble? The Hubble has
James Webb Telescope. The solar panels are Rocket Lab. A lot of what's on the rover. I mean, there's Rocket Lab parts on Mars right now. I mean, that's just reality. Capstone mission. That's Rocket Lab. People don't realize how much Rocket Lab is actually already doing. And if like Francisco said, they might not be 100% Rocket Lab. The Firefly mission, the one that they just landed on the moon. Well, a lot of that stuff is Rocket Lab. We actually joke sometimes when someone else has a launch mishap or a satellite deployment mishap. Like, well, if they would just use Rocket Lab's parts, they would have been successful.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, the heredity's there. Beck and Spice have said this numerous times in the past. It is about heredity, and that's what's going to serve them very well going forward, especially with, like you said before, the SDA contracts.
Yeah.
If you're going to go with what works, especially when it comes to the military. I know that some of our friends out there are either current or former military, and once the U.S. government gives someone a contract, they're usually typically going to stick with that same company year after year after year for those same types of contracts. It's only a positive that Rocket Lab is working so close to the U.S. government, and it doesn't help that hurt that Peter Beck is not in it. You don't see him messing around in the political field either, as we do Musk, which I think is a bonus for Rocket Lab, especially when you're looking at doing more deals internationally with other countries.
Well, here we go.
For the Sea God seas. Now we're preparing to deploy the QPS SAR-10 satellite to a 575-kilometer orbit for Japan-based Earth imaging company iQPS. Now just 49 minutes ago, Electron lifted off from Rocket Lab Launch Complex 1 in New Zealand at 8:17 p.m. local time to deploy the Sea God seas mission to space. We had a great stage 1 and stage 2 ascent. And then after the kick stage was separated for Electron with the iQPS satellite, the mission entered a coast phase around Earth for about 40 minutes or so.
About 2 minutes ago, the Curie engine on the kick stage ignited to course correct the mission to a circular Earth orbit with an engine burn of about 2.5 minutes. All was nominal there for Curie startup and shutdown, and now we are just moments away for the QPS SAR-10 satellite to be deployed and mission success. So let's listen in now to Mission Control.
The fact that we're still here watching this just proves how much of a nerd we are.
I know. But what I was going to say is, if you look at the likes of, even Honeywell had a mishap back.
Payload separation confirmed.
Nice. Yeah, was that the one out of Norway?
See you later to the Sea God. That is payload deployment confirmed and mission success. Welcome to orbit QPS SAR-10, and congratulations to the Rocket Lab and RQPS teams. Now, RQPS's satellite, Watatsumi 1, named for the Sea God, now joins the rest of the company's constellation in space, including the Lightning God and the Moon God, deployed there by Electron for our earlier IQPS missions.
We have at least 6 more missions planned for launch for iQPS this year and next, so there'll be many more Japanese gods to honor in the months to come. But for now, all the best to the iQPS team for the upcoming commissioning of their latest satellite on orbit.
So that's 64 Electron launches in total now, and our 6th for the year with our 7th Electron mission, only days away from launching from Launch Complex 1. We can't wait to see you here again soon, but until next time, this is Rocket Lab Mission Control, signing off.
Very, very cool. Very cool. What is I'm not sure what that next launch is going to be. I didn't know it was going to be that soon. I got to catch up, man. I've been slacking off.
Yeah, do you know what, Francisco? Do you know when the next launch is? Because if I go looking now, yeah. So I was gonna say, the likes of Honeywell had a mishap with the reaction wheels back in 2010, where there was like grease leaking out of them, and then that shows you the amount of like, I don't know. We touched on it in our video about where we believe the reaction wheels could be going. Look, at no point, like, there's a good chance it is Amazon. So I'm not going to say it's most definitely not Amazon, but I just wanted to bring the thought that if you look at like that problem with the grease leak from Honeywell, if you compare that to the likes of Rocket Lab, you very rarely get a mishap. Maybe now and again with Electron, but with their actual space systems, the satellites, you don't get mishaps. And that is exactly what the Department of Defense will be going after. They want something that is more or less, pardon the pun, but bulletproof.
Hey, I pay taxes, man. I pay taxes, so I don't want my money wasted. So yeah, go with go with what's going to work, and go with what's going to work every time. Another successful launch today with what we want to see. I don't see any reason why we're not going to continue to see more successful launches, and it just gets you more excited about what they're doing with Neutron. They're getting really close to putting that thing on the pad, and that's going to be fun. That launch is going to be really interesting. I'm one of those very bullish people that thinks that it's going to go off wonderfully, and they're going to be successful in the very first launch. Why would you want to think any different anyway? Speaking out to the universe, go ahead.
Yeah, there's no point in thinking differently at all. Like, I believe we will have a successful launch. The first one, are they going to attempt a landing, or is it going to be a splashdown?
I don't believe it's going to be a landing attempt. I don't even know where the splashdown is supposed to be scheduled for. I thought I read somewhere that they were getting permission from, I want to say Brazil. I'm probably wrong. For the splashdown, but I can't recall. It's been a week or two since I really looked at it. I've told you before. I've been definitely sick for like a week or two. I'm getting doped up on antibiotics and still trying to work. So I'm only getting tidbits of information here and there, and I'm losing and forgetting more than I'm remembering and retaining. But I do know that they're not currently planning to try and land it back on the pad, and they are planning for a splashdown. Where that's going to happen, I'm not 100% sure of.
Yeah. Now, guys, there's 81 of you here. Please make sure you follow Christopher on X. Now, I reckon the majority are coming through Christopher just because you're a lot bigger in the Rocket Lab space than we are at the moment. Yeah, make sure to follow Christopher Bell on X. Christopher goes live more or less as and when things happen. Or, look, like that, when you're feeling 100% and you're back to yourself, you go live whenever, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I try and schedule for I have a Friday schedule around 5 o'clock for all our friends down in New Zealand. It seems to work good for those guys, but that's the one I'll really only try and stick to a schedule. The rest of the time, it could just be a random Sunday, it could be a Tuesday night. It just depends on what's going on with the day and how I'm feeling on the day. And also, if I just I haven't heard enough about Rocket Lab and I just want to talk Rocket Lab, I'll just jump on. But it's always very laid back. You know, it's open forum. And also, you guys remember, I'm doing everything off my phone. So if you guys do join on and you have comments or questions, and if I miss it, or I don't react to it, I want to. So it doesn't hurt my feelings if you ask multiple times, because I'm having to scroll through, and it's just easier if it just pops back up. So please, even if you just want to joke around, call me names, I'm really laid back, man. I don't take any of this stuff too seriously. I really don't. I mean, it's investing. Yeah, you take it seriously to a degree, but as far as my live streams and what we do as Haste Club, it's called freaking Haste Club, right? I mean, it's kind of a joke on Fight Club.
Yeah.
But hey, nobody wanted to talk about Haste a year or two ago, so it works. First rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about it. Yeah, it's supposed to be more laid back. It's meant for us to just sit in there and chat and just kind of catch up with whatever the latest news is. But again, I try and avoid the numbers. If you want to talk numbers and get into numbers, we can. Usually maybe once every quarter when they're doing earnings.
Yep.
I might nerd out on it, but again, we've got guys who do a lot better than me, so sometimes I just sit back and let them take control over that.
And that's the thing, like, that's why I think it'd be very interesting for us to collab with Scott O or Jacob, just because, look, people do like that side too. And at least then, if we can bring our laid back approach and try and fit in a few numbers, say once a quarter or something like that, I think it'd be great. Now, guys, we're trying to grow our X at the moment too, so make sure you follow the Hustle Brothers. I was speaking to Christopher before this, so what we're going to try and do, we're going to try and stream every launch going forward. So we're at quite a nice time difference. So Christopher is based in the US, I'm based in the Republic of Ireland, and my brother is based in the UK. So between 2 out of the 3 of us, we should always have 2 available for the launch. So make sure you follow us on X and make sure to bang that subscribe on YouTube. Now, guys, we have 85 of you there. I want you to show your appreciation in the comments for Christopher, the knowledge he brings. It's not easy to come on live on camera. I feel like there's a difference when me and Reese come live on camera because we have each other side by side. And I think sometimes the abuse you can take is absolutely unbelievable when you first start out. I actually think the abuse when you first start out with the lives in a big way is harder than it is as you go up.
It is ridiculous, man. It is crazy. Look, I'm a quiet guy, really, in my life. I live in a small town. I live on a river. It's very secluded. I keep to myself. Like I said, when I first did the Haste Club, I honestly thought it'd be me and like 4 or 5 guys that I just normally talk to on X anyway. I just thought it'd be fun. I didn't expect to actually get the reception that I did. And for the most part, it's been wonderful. But you do get some crazy people that will, go into your messaging and personally message you, and man, just rip me a new one. I mean, God forbid I misspeak or I say, I mention a wrong time or a wrong, reference to something. Man, they chew me backwards and forwards, and it's not easy going on and doing it by yourself, especially getting started. You gotta have thick skin for sure. You gotta have thick skin. You can't take it all personal. And sometimes
I think the best thing to do, I think me, you, and Reese said it last time, is sometimes the hateful comments. Me and Reese have a session, say on a Friday, where we just look back at how we done this week, like what we could have done better, and what we want to do going forward, and what we could improve on. But then we always have a session on the funniest comments, and like sometimes these hurtful comments, yeah, if you turn them into a positive or a funny thing, it's just like, you know what, fair play. I know when I'm creating videos, when I start rewatching it back, I'm like, oh no, I said the wrong thing there, and then you have to recreate the whole thing else. Look, I want to show you guys the inside of what actually goes into content creation too. I'm not one of these guys that's going to make out I know absolutely everything and I'm perfect at everything. It could be something as simple like, we know that's the 64th launch. You could be going along, yeah, and you could say the 63rd, or you could say the 65th. Next thing, bang, 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 they're attacking you. And you're like, okay, sorry, I misspoke. But the difference is when you go live, yeah.
Bro, I had somebody attack me and they were making fun of my kids. Almost wanted to take my ex post, my whole, you know, all my personal info off of X. They're attacking my kids. I mean, children. I mean, they have nothing to do with. They have nothing to do with it. It's it can be difficult. But at the same time, it's also a lot of fun. It's very rewarding, and I don't take, you know, you can't take all that stuff too personal. That's a good idea, like you said. You take it, you kind of review everything, and you make fun of it in a way. But you know, we all take a risk, you know, coming on here, and I appreciate, look, everyone in the comments, all you guys that tune in. Thanks a lot. It's I'm really glad you did. I got it at 3 o'clock, well, 2:30, I think it was. Liam, when you first messaged me, I was so mad.
Yeah.
I was not happy. It sucks so bad. I was like, this is going to be horrible. Yeah. And if there was like 1 or 2 people that watched, great. But I was not going to be exactly happy if it was just me and you on here just talking to each other.
Oh yeah. So what happened basically was, Dave, was it 2 days ago? Was it Curtis put out, can someone stream the launch? So we then got talking. We're like, oh, well, maybe. And then I said, oh, is there much interest? And then I thought, do you know what? Like, we haven't been following Rocket Lab for long enough that there'll be interest. And I was like, but then saying that maybe Christopher's audience might tune in. But then I wasn't too sure, was your audience more US based or were they like New Zealand based? And you were like, mate, they are so passionate. They will get up at any time. It doesn't matter what the launch is. And then I was expecting like 4 or 5 people in here, which I was happy with. And look, we're sitting on 86 and the launch happened an hour ago. So
yeah.
Mate, I want to commend
you guys. And on that note, I do need to get ready to jump off here. We've been on here for a while. I'm going to try and sneak in. Actually, no, I can't. It's already 5:30. I've got to go to work soon. That sucks. I hate my boss. I'm going to fire myself today so I can go home and go to sleep. My boss sucks. Maybe get up to do a live stream. I got a joke. I am my own boss, so it's my own butt. I got a kid, but it's awesome. The Rocket Lab community is great. They're always out there. If you have anybody, you know, everybody does a great job at helping each other out, getting the information out there. And yeah, again, thanks everyone for tuning in, for you know, for hanging out with us at this ungodly hour of the night for me. It's been a pleasure as always. Liam, thanks, man. It's been awesome. I do hate to cut you now, but yeah, I need to go get some coffee and breakfast, and I've got about an hour and a half drive to my job site. So you know, no dreaming and driving out there, folks. Play it safe.
Nah. So this has been Liam from the Hustle Brothers. This is Christopher Bell from the Haste Club. Thank you so much for joining us over the last 2 hours. Make sure on your way out to hit the like button and show your appreciation. All right, guys. Thank you. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.